All right, welcome back. So I'm going to completely close out week one 100% for good. So last video I did my final body scan meditation. I want you to do 6 of those and then 1 raisin meditation as part of your formal practice. I also did a number of informal practices. That's also part of it. There's no specification for how much or how little to do it, but so far I've done it 1, 2, 3 times in my practice log. So the idea is just to bring mindful awareness to some otherwise routine activity. For instance, washing the dishes, waiting in line, sitting in a boring meeting, walking from your car to your office. Remembering the raisin exercise, you could also use this as an opportunity to bring mindful awareness to eating, noting textures, smell, taste, touch, etc. And then, oh, you know what? Oh, shoot. It looks like I kind of screwed up a little bit because it looks like they do want 7 entries here. One for each night of the week. But that's okay. You know, it's week 1, so you're not going to do everything perfect in the first week. But I do have an extra entry here, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I'll have 4 entries, which is better than nothing. So what was the situation? Where were you? Who was I with? What was I doing as part of my informal practice lunch? So it was around 3 p.m. I swam the lake. I've been wanting to do that more. I did it as a I habit stacked it together with practicing mindfulness, practicing mindful awareness. All right, so practicing is spelled otherwise. I was alone. I was alone. I was swimming. Well, I wasn't entirely alone, you know. But not entirely. Entirely. Plenty of other people were checked in. It would have been easy to strike up a conversation with someone. I think that's important for me to feel mindful about because, you know, oftentimes I don't do that, and then, you know, it's like, whoa, where is everyone? Why am I lonely? Well, they're literally all standing right there. You just have to say something. All right, would have been easy. Yep, if I so decided. So what was I doing? Yep, I was alone, but not entirely. Plenty of other people were checking in swimming. Would have been easy to try. I was swimming. I was swimming 1 lap. All right. So now the next question is: what feelings, thoughts, sensations did you notice before you decided to experience this mindfully? So. I was sitting at home, finishing up my Mbsr video from earlier, and I noticed how unhealthy I was feeling. Yeah. So what thoughts, feelings, thoughts, and sensations did you notice while doing this mindfully? So, yeah, I noticed how much better of a choice this was than like anything else I could have done for the hour. I noticed how much more benefits I got, such as wakefulness. I also got, I got a feeling of like almost like a pump, or like I don't know how else to describe it. Wakefulness, but kind of inner peace. I got a lot of inner peace, you know, out in nature that really helps. Curiosity, especially observing the birds. Okay, so what did I learn from this? it reinforced how excellent of a decision it was, and how easy and frictionless it was to spend an hour doing it. Reinforced how important exercise is, and being out in nature a little bit. Yeah. So what thoughts, feelings, thoughts, and sensations are you noticing now as you write this? I'm noticing a lot more inner peace, a lot of curiosity, a lot of driving curiosity. I noticed the birds. I noticed there were like 50 little swallow type birds all out there, because I was swimming and they all kind of rushed at me. One of them actually defecated like a few feet away, and I saw it drop in and splash in the water. And what I thought was interesting was not so much that. I was quite disinterested in that. What I was interested in is when they all went to land on the same area. They all landed on the same tree, on the branches of the tree. And it took them about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even as much as 5 minutes. And I just swam, like treaded water and stared at them the whole time, because they seem to have this communication strategy. They became very, very noisy. And then once everyone found a place to go on the branch, dead silence. I couldn't hear a peep out of the birds. So there seems to be some kind of communication strategy that they use to make sure that everyone has a place to land, and that no one like bumps into and accidentally forces someone off of their space or something like that. And I'm curious about that. I bet you that's documented, and if I were to talk to ChatGPT, I could learn a lot more about that. So I'm feeling a lot of driving curiosity. I'm feeling a sense of inner peace, and I'm feeling I'm feeling more healthy. I still feel a mild lingering effect of too much salt. A mild, rough, dry feeling in my mouth. Which typically I get if I have too much salt. It's like dry mouth. I'm really susceptible to getting dry mouth with the medications I'm on, so I have to be really careful not to have too much salt, or else I'll get that really uncomfortable dry mouth. All right, so quite a bit of a difference, right? Feeling really, really bad. Got out in nature, swam the lake, only spent about an hour doing so, and yeah, I feel great. So perfect. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is finish up the supplemental materials. So the next one is this. These are all optional, but I'm going to go above and beyond here because this is important for me to reduce feelings of anxiety, stress, and depression, especially because I gained about 100 pounds since the pandemic, and I think it was due to depression in large part. So I want to reduce that and be able to make better decisions, like go out and swim that lake, or like, just be less mindless about what there is, and kind of load in the things that make more sense to me to do besides like binge eating. All right, so the next step will be, and I'll do that in another tab so I don't lose my spot. So it'll be reading this article. So it's 3 pages. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I'll pause it and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So this is What Would It Take for You to Be Still by Catherine Price. How can you learn to slow down time, quiet the mental chatter, and save your life's breezes with mindfulness, one snow-capped mountain meditation at a time? And this is the stuff that really kind of turns me off. I'm not looking to do any of that. What I'm looking to do is reduce my experiences of anxiety, depression, and stress so that I can be less mindless of things that I would like to accomplish and load those things in and get those and prioritize those things and get those done rather than destructive habits like binge eating or just mindlessly scrolling on YouTube. Really not relating to me so far, but I'm just going to try to go through this course and kind of reserve my judgments for later. When I decided to take up meditation, it seemed so easy. Slip on a pair of yoga pants, force your legs into half lotus, and om your way to serenity and bliss. Forget that my hips are too tight for even a quarter of a lotus, or that the last time I felt truly serene, prescription drugs were involved. I had to try it. I needed to find a way to slow things down. I'll say one more thing, because this is really kind of, I'm being mindful. I'm having mindful awareness right now. This is actually kind of triggering for me because I feel like they're going to say that it's some kind of like achievement, right? Or like you win something, or you've somehow outcompeted others, or you've lived a better, more pious, more faithful life than others if you don't have to take prescription medications. And I think honestly, I'll just use the word. I think it's evil. I think it's really evil. I think people have to take prescription medications. I think prescription drugs can be a miracle. Just like anything, there can be prescription drugs that are withdrawn from the market where, it turns out that they were did more harm than good. But, I just think that's definitely not the case for every prescription drug, and I would even go as far as to say that's probably only the case for a very small amount of prescription drugs. So, I just think this kind of leads to a dark place where you kind of make evaluation judgments on people for having to take prescription drugs through no fault of their own. I mean, a lot of heart disease is genetic. If you're just more susceptible to it, then you're more likely to get it. So, saying someone failed to do the lotus position or whatever, and now they're on prescription drugs and they're failing, like, I feel like that's where this leads. Lately, it's felt like my life is on warp speed. Weekends blur into months, months blur into seasons. I eat fast, I talk fast, I walk fast. I swear I even sleep fast, and I find it almost impossible to sit still. All that research showing that fidgeting burns tons of calories is good news for me. I may get a lot done, but smell the roses, I'm not even getting a passing whiff. And again, I kind of don't understand where this is coming from. My goal is not to smell roses. My goal is to have kind of a higher setting on my life where the experiences I'm having are less anxiety, depression, and stress, and more kind of a blissful, serene, like happy experience in life with positivity and optimism. That's kind of more my goal, not necessarily to smell roses. We've all had the experience of sensing time decelerate naturally when we're not so thrilled about what we're doing. Think torturous spinning class or hour-long synergy workshop at the office. As my dear grandmother would have said, it takes only one colonoscopy to prove that time is relative. But what about the more enjoyable times in life? I hoped that practicing the popular and proven type of meditation called mindfulness, which focuses on bringing awareness to the present moment, might help me slow those times down as well. Ready to begin, I went straight to the source. Jon Kabat-Zinn, PhD, the founder of the Stress Reduction Clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. Kabat-Zinn is the creator of an 8-week course called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, Mbsr, which he began teaching in 1979 and which is now the largest and oldest meditation-based clinical program in the world. Kabat-Zinn's program is taught at the University of Massachusetts, but you can find other MBSR courses around the world, including this 100% free one by PelosiMindfulness.com. There are many types of meditation, so why did I opt for MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Meditation? Two reasons. First, I liked that it's taught in a secular context. Me too. That's a big one for me. Even though it's based on some core principles of Buddhism, I think that's fair. The Bayes theorem came out of I think a Catholic priest developed Bayes theorem. I didn't need any background knowledge to begin. Second, as someone who wants to understand why I'm doing something, especially when that thing is challenging, I liked the idea that there was scientific proof of its effectiveness. Me too. Although, as a skeptic, I would like to dive in a little bit deeper to that, because it sounds like the type of meditation you do kind of matters a lot. So I'm just kind of worried that I'm doing the wrong type. Because of its curriculum is so consistent, it's one of the most studied forms of meditation in the world. Kabat-Zinn suggested I start at home by practicing 1 to 2 guided 20 to 45 minute exercises 6 days a week. Yes, even meditators need a day off, and that's insane to me. He suggests that you do just about an hour a day. If you spend an hour a day practicing a musical instrument, after a year, you'd be really good. like an hour a day is a lot to recommend. I would if you're asking me, I would say 10 minutes once a day of HRV. Start there. That's what I would suggest. An hour a day is insane. Do 10 minutes once per day, 7 days a week. Don't even do it 7 days a week. Do it when you need it. If the work week is stressful, do it 10 minutes before work, or even just do that as the first thing during the workday. No one will notice. You're just sitting staring at your computer doing this. It's all you need is the audio too. You can just download the audio and do it along with the audio. So you can even put it together with checking up your emails and doing other things. You can habit stack it, right? So that's what I would say is, don't waste an hour a day on this. At most waste 10 minutes, but don't waste any time at all. Try to habit stack it with something else. After we talked about my reason for wanting to meditate, Kabat-Zinn says it's important to identify your motivation before you begin, or you'll be tempted to give up. And I definitely agree with that. Let's take a moment again to look at my meditation, or my motivation. So my motivation is to get the benefits that are in the research, including, as I mentioned, reducing anxiety, depression, and stress, but also to get the benefits of mindfulness, which are in 5 facets. So they're they're outlined in the FFMQ. So the 5 facets of mindfulness, according to the FFMQ, are observing, describing, acting with awareness, non-judging of inner experience, and non-reactivity to inner experience. So I want to be able to do that really well. It's kind of self-explanatory how that could happen. At work, observe the training, the documentation, describe, what's in there, and then do your work with that awareness of those guidelines or those examples, tutorials, training in mind. And non-judging of inner experience, and then the big thing is non-reactivity. It's something, not getting twisted and turned and pulled at every moment just based on whether the sky is cloudy or not, right? After we talked about my reason for wanting to meditate, Kabat-Zinn says it's important to identify your motivation before you begin, or you'll be tempted to give up. He recommended that I kick off my practice with what he thought would be an easy starting point, a visualization called the mountain meditation. I loaded my iPod with the 20-minute exercise, which is a lot. I would recommend people start again with the HRV video for 10 minutes. And honestly, I would recommend you start with 5 or even start with 1 minute, because the goal is to have it be enjoyable, to have it be self-motivating to do. If it's just if it's awful, then it's just too hard, right? So you kind of got to ease into it over time. I loaded my iPod with the 20-minute exercise, which requires you to sit erect in the floor or a chair, close your eyes, and observe your breathing as you imagine a mountain. First, you notice small details, the trees that cover its slopes, perhaps a dollop of snow at the peak, and eventually you try to imagine becoming the mountain itself, feeling its strength and solidly and solidity, and noticing that even when it's battered by the wind or drenched with rain, its rock hard interior remains stable and calm. Meditation teachers love metaphors. The goal of the mountain meditation is the same as with every other mindfulness technique. Whether you're focusing on an image, your breath, or sensations in your body, you're trying to coax your mind into what Kabat-Zinn calls the state of non-doing. It's not the same as doing nothing. Rather, it means you're not thinking about your grocery list or the conversation you've had with a friend last night, or the unfinished report sitting on your desk at work, because then you'd be mindless of anything that's not that, right? And sometimes it's important to load in things that are more relevant to the present moment. Nor are you, especially like the report, sitting on your desk. You're going to work on that after, right? You're going to work on that when you get home. Like, what's the point in being so mindful of that now, and so mindless of whatever you're doing now? Like, you have no option to go. And if you kind of ruminate over something like that, maybe you can get an advantage. But like that's how I describe it. Nor are you trying to force your mind to go blank or conjure up any special feelings. You're concentrating on just one thing, experiencing each moment as it happens, and trying to be, if I might quote Van Halen, right here, right now. What does experiencing the moment have to do with imagining yourself as a mountain? Think of it as strength training. By learning to quiet your mind's chatter and concentrate solely on your mental Rockies, you're gaining the focus necessary to stay present when you're not actively meditating. The point is to avoid cruising through life on autopilot and being mindless, right? So wrapped up in your daily routine that you don't notice the world around you. And I would argue that if you have good habits, that you want that, right? You want to go on autopilot, but the point is the point in my mind is to go on autopilot, but it's to get the plane to a place where you can put it on autopilot safely, right? Mindfulness is about living your life as if it really mattered, said Kabat-Zinn. If you're not mindfully present in the small moments, you could be missing half your life. Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with that. So I'm only in week 1, so maybe I will by the end of the course. Where I'm coming from is not everything about life is amazing. So exercise is a great example. Sometimes it can be hard to exercise and not fun. But it's usually better doing it than not. So I guess you could adjust your exercise practice to make it more fun in the moment if you were more mindful, but yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm on board. If this non-doing sounds easy, take 20 minutes and try the mountain exercise yourself. I will not be doing that. It won't be long before, it will be 20 minutes before your mountain, which in my case was less Mount Everest and more like the label on an Evian bottle. What? Drifts away. Okay, I gotta see that. Okay, so it's gonna be less like Mount Everest and more like, oh, yikes. Okay, let's take a look at Mount Everest. I guess I'd rather have it be like Mount Everest. Yeah, I'm going with Mount Everest. All right. Anyways, drifts away and is replaced by a game of free association. A mountain reminds you of skiing, which reminds you of a family vacation, which reminds you of the weekend, which reminds you that a friend invited you to dinner on Saturday, which reminds you that you never got back to her and that maybe you should be writing her an email instead of sitting on the floor pretending you are a mountain. Yeah. Which reminds you that you're supposed to be sitting on the floor pretending that you're supposed to be doing that on a mountain, which makes you mad at yourself for letting your mind wander. And then bam. So there you go. You had this reaction, right? You got mad, right? So that's the point, is you can have like non-reactivity where you don't get mad at that, right? And then bam, like you've dedicated these 20 minutes, right? You're not supposed to be doing anything else but that right now. So like, you know, if you're feeling mad, like, you know, it's yeah, it's like that's fine, but you know, non-judging, right? Non-judging of any experience. Like there's nothing to say, right? It's like you're feeling mad. Okay, great. But that doesn't mean you have to immediately stop and go do something else or chastise yourself or like punish yourself, right? It's non-reactivity, right? Like it's okay to feel mad. It's just not okay to run someone down with your car because you're mad at them. All right, and then bam. Not only are you no longer cultivating intimacy with the present moment, you're committing one of mindfulness's biggest faux pas, beating yourself up for getting distracted. As soon as you start making judgments, you're out of the moment. Kabat-Zinn didn't say this explicitly, but I'm pretty sure that mindfulness exercises should not include obscenities. After a few days pretending to be a mountain, and in a different case a lake, it became clear that I am not a visual person. I pretended to be a lake. I swam a lake a few minutes ago. Unable to picture a mountain in the first place, let alone concentrate on it for 20 minutes, I was compensated by imagining my breath throwing up my body and rushing to the top of my head, which worked better until I realized that I'd turn my calm and snowy peak into a volcano. So yeah, I would probably recommend visualizing a place you're more familiar with. I did a really good one meditation session where all they said was think of a body of water. So like it could be anything. It could be like if you had coffee in the morning, you know, it's a small body of water with coffee beans infused in it. You know, I just swam the lake, so that's a body of water. If you have experience in the ocean, that's a body of water. So just think of a body of water and just that's all you do for 20 minutes. You think of a body of water. So with Kabat-Zinn's blessing, I moved on to a meditation that I hoped might come more naturally to me, the body scan. One of the key exercises in the Mbsr course, it's 45 minutes of carefully guiding your attention up and down your body, trying to home in on the sensations of each isolated part. And is it home in on or is it hone in on? I thought it was HONE. Yeah, I think it, yeah. Oh. Yeah, well, okay. I usually say hone in on the sensations in each isolated part. The exercise begins with your with your left big toe, and unfortunately in my case, often ends there. As Kabat-Zinn likes to point out, while it's very difficult to learn to fall awake, become connected to the present moment, it's quite easy when meditating to fall asleep. Still, I stuck with it. I liked the challenge of trying to harness my mind, and I was intrigued by studies showing that Mbsr does even more than that. In 2003, for example, scientists from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, which is the hometown that I grew up and lived most of my life in, examined a group that included alumni of Kabat-Zinn's 8-week course and found that when they received flu shots, the meditators' immune systems produced more antibodies in response to the vaccine than did the non-meditators. In a 1999 University of Massachusetts study, patients with psoriasis who meditated while receiving ultraviolet treatments for their skin healed 4 times faster than the control group, regardless of whether they had any previous meditation training. Researchers don't yet understand all the details of why changes like these occur, but one possible explanation is that this type of meditation reduces stress and helps people develop a more positive outlook, both of which have been shown to strengthen the body's immune system. What's more, according to researcher Norman Farb, who studies meditation and experimental psychology at the University of Toronto, such mindfulness-based meditation can actually change the way you use your brain. As Farb explains it, most of the time we, by which I mean your average non-meditating American, respond to new stimuli and experiences automatically based on how we think they'll affect us. A traffic jam isn't just cars. It's a problem that will make us late for dinner. So when we see a red wall of taillights in front of us, we become stressed out. A pair of sneakers strewn in the doorway aren't just discarded shoes. They're an annoying obstacle. So when we trip over them, we, by which I mean your average non-meditating Catherine, get irritated with our husbands. In other words, we don't just experience, we evaluate and then respond without thinking. Clogged highway equals extra minutes stuck in car equals a misery. And I need I'm going to take a little break. This was kind of a lot of reading. All right, I'll take a few minute break. I'll be back and close this out. All right, I'm feeling a lot better now. So, all right, so continuing on. All right, so typically this kind of narrative processing takes place in the medial frontal cortex, an area of the brain behind the center of your forehead that coordinates complex behaviors and thoughts. So I like to go to zygote body. It's not perfect. You have to pay for like more advanced features to see more parts. But it typically gets me, most of the way there. So let's take a look at that component. Okay, so there's the brain right there. Let's click on it. So that's the outer dura. So it's behind like the gray matter or whatever. We gotta strip that away. Oh, we have to unselect it. The dura. There we go. There we go. Now we're building up the brain. So, yeah, there we go. So there we've got the cerebellum, which somehow it's only letting me. You might have to pay for more detail. Yeah, I think this free one doesn't have that much detail, but let's see if it has the medial prefrontal cortex. Don't see it, so let's just search for cortex. Don't find it. And let's search for heart just for a sanity check that there actually are results. Yep, there you go. So yeah, you have to pay to get like really. So if you get the premium features, then you get a deeper dive, but this is just a free trial, basically, to convince you to actually buy it and use it for professional use. It's about $100 a month to get the complete anatomy. Oh, never mind. I guess you get the same thing. Okay, well, It's good enough, but it's not. I mean, there's probably a 3D brain anatomy tool for free online. Yeah, 3D brain. Brainfacts.org. There's also, oh yeah, this looks good. Yeah, so we got it. So we got the cortex here. So this is the medial cortex. So this is the prefrontal cortex. Yeah, but the medial one, I don't know what that means. But yeah, this tool's, yeah. So you can use a tool that's more specific to the part of the body you want to learn more about. So that's brainfacts.org, really good. There's also 3D Brain Atlas. So let's search for the medial frontal cortex. Okay, so that's kind of not the exact term that I see popping up, but here we go. Prefrontal cortex. There we go. I kind of like the other one a little bit better. Oh, this is cool. It kind of can pinpoint like what diseases are associated with different parts of the brain. So like memory diseases are probably associated with the hippocampus. Let's see what are associated with the cerebellum. Maybe like Parkinson's. Nah, it doesn't say. All right, so I like the other tool better. But anyways, an area of the brain behind the center of your forehead that coordinates complex behaviors and thoughts. It's also the part of the brain that's being used when your mind starts to wander. While it's possible to stifle this default way of thinking, trying to do so is like forcing yourself to go to the gym after years of inactivity. Sure, you could fight your way through a step aerobics class if you had to. Well, wouldn't it be nicer to just eat Doritos on the couch? FARB has found that people who have completed the 8-week Mbsr training, on the other hand, are able to activate an entirely different part of the brain, the insula, located deep inside your gray matter. So that'd be a good one to pin down here. So no results on here, so we got to use a tool more specific to the brain itself. So we'll use the one I was just looking at, which is brainfacts.org, which I prefer over the other one. So we're going to click the search button if there is one. There's one right here. And search for the insula. And the result is to pee or not to pee, which is not what I was looking for. Okay, so the other one actually probably is a little bit better. Oh, here we go. The search tool is right there. Nothing for the insula. Let's see if we get a match on the other site. Oh, we got it. Yeah, so this is okay. I like this one better now. I don't know why the colorization is so wacky. I wish there was a better color scheme on it, but this has the insula where the other one did not. So the insula is a cortical area forming the deep wall of the lateris. So that it's Oh, it contains the perception of taste. That's interesting. All right, located deep inside your gray matter, the insula informs you of what's happening in the present moment without connecting the experience to a specific emotion. When you're thinking this way, a traffic jam doesn't seem like a problem. It's simply a bunch of cars on the road. So it's like tasting, where you can't tell immediately if it's a bad taste or not, unless you go through the experience of tasting first. The point of meditation is not to stop you from having an emotional experience to what's happening in your life. It's to avoid responding purely out of habit. Yep, there you go. Non-reactivity. Every situation, if you think about it, is an invitation for you to react in a certain way. But being mindful gives you the chance to decide how to RSVP. Does the sight of bumper-to-bumper traffic mean you have to get stressed out? Or could you think of those extra 20 minutes as a chance to listen to a favorite CD? Judging from the increase in my heart rate just from typing bumper-to-bumper, I've got work to do. Is it really worth getting angry at my husband over those misplaced sneakers? Or would I rather be thankful for the fact that he folded the laundry? On the flip side, if it turns out that you want to say yes to the invitation by feeling happy about a new promotion, for example, you can use mindfulness to savor the moment more fully. It doesn't matter whether the experience is good or bad. Mindfulness reminds you that when it comes to your reactions, you're the one still in charge. Still, Kabat-Zinn had warned me not to expect that anything magical would happen while I was meditating, or even that it would always feel enjoyable. A caveat that I appreciated whenever I grew irritable or uncomfortable, or found myself counting down the seconds during my daily practice habit. He also pointed out that meditation is not a quick fix. Becoming or staying mindful is a lifelong process. But as I continued experimenting each day with the guided exercises, I was happy to find that they did become easier. I developed some tricks for everyday life too, like taking a few slow conscious breaths to bring my attention back to the present moment, or choosing a particular sense to focus on. So what I do is I do a body scan of my face area, and what I'm scanning for is, am I breathing in and out through my nose, or am I having a high quality, like, effective breaths, or am I like, breathing in a way that's going to mean that I am running out of breath. And I tried not to get annoyed when my mind wandered. As Kabat-Zinn says, stopping your brain from thinking would be like stopping the ocean's waves. It's more productive to simply observe the thoughts without getting carried away by them, and try to tap into the calm that exists beneath the surface. By training myself to stay focused during the exercises, I've gotten better at staying present when I'm not actively meditating. As a result, I've discovered that each day is dense with experiences: the breeze against my skin, the play of light on the grass, the sound of my husband's laugh, and if I want to stretch out the time, all I need to do is notice them. When I find my mind racing ahead, or I'm tempted to skip my daily practice, I remember another of Kabat-Zinn's sayings that affirms why this is an experiment I want to continue, both figuratively and literally. We only have moments to live. For a guide on how to cultivate mindfulness and suggestions for daily practice, download these meditation exercises. To buy and pay and pay people to breathe, and if you don't pay enough, then don't breathe and die of not breathing. You can go to johnkabat-zinn.com. But I don't recommend doing that. Just stay here if it helps you to get through the material, or just do the course on your own, or just you keep it simple and stick to the 10 minutes of HRV with that, and then you want something more advanced, then move on to the full Mbsr 8-week course. That's what I did. I started very small. I'm considering this something that I chose to do this because I was ready to choose to do it, right? All right, so here's some more tips. We read a whole article on Mbsr, so we got the gist of it so far. All right, so the next one is a pretty short one. Oh, so the next 2 are videos. Should be really easy. I don't have to talk, and especially with my dry mouth.
G'day.
So these will be easy to knock off. So let's knock them off, and let's do them in a higher speed and get it all done.
Buddy, my name is Susan Kaiser Greenland, and I'm here today to talk to you about what I mean when I ask kids and teens to pay attention to what's happening right now. Because sometimes they understandably get confused. They think that paying attention to what's happening right now means ignoring their past and not taking care of their hopes and their aspirations for the future. And that's not the case at all. My childhood is very much part of me, as much a part of me as the bones in my body. And my hopes and my dreams for the future, they're very much part of everything I do and say too. But what we mean by paying attention to the present moment is meaning that we don't get distracted by our past or preoccupied with what's going to happen in the future, but we really can rest and enjoy what's happening right now in the present moment. So that can be a complicated thing to explain to kids and teens, but a student of mine in Singapore showed me something she did with this apple, which I thought was very helpful, and I'm going to share that with you. See this apple? This apple got to my hand because of the efforts of a farmer, of truck drivers, of grocers, of moms and dads, and people who brought it to us to eat and enjoy today. That's all the past. It's all very much part of this apple I'm holding right now. Now, what about the future? Well, if you cut into the apple, you see these seeds. There's some seeds in the apple right there. Well, that's the future, and it's completely embedded in part of the whole. So the past and the future are part of the whole of the apple, all together, all interconnected. And the now? Well, here's the apple right now, and I'm planning on enjoying it. I hope you'll enjoy it too. I'm going to take a great big bite of it. So that's the thing with mindful awareness. It's past, present, and future, all wrapped up into one. Thank you.
All right, so, and then one more, and it'll be completely done.
Jason Fox here, and today I've got Rachel.
The audio is garbage. See, that's what I hate about, like, a lot of times, like, I don't know where this is out of, but, like, you know, this sort of thing happens on, like, university campuses. Like, they record a lecture and the audio is horrible. It's like, no wonder people are getting mis and disinformation from exploitative influencers on YouTube, because they can actually hear what they're saying because the audio isn't complete trash. So I will try to get through it, but it might be kind of rough, and it's optional.
Green in the studios, and Rachel's an emotional intelligence coach and professional speaker. She's been practicing mindfulness meditation since 1987.
It's a long time.
And has actually used this practice to cure her of panic attacks, which is purely awesome, and we're going to get into that soon. But perhaps before...
And again, my goal isn't to cure myself of panic attacks or some other illness. It's to get the scientifically validated small incremental improvements in depression, anxiety, and stress. If anyone says you can cure cancer by meditating, I urge you to have a skeptical opinion about that. And if you have cancer and we're planning to get treatment for it from established medical care and want to maybe take a month or two to try the meditation instead, not medical advice, but you know, I'm not here to give medical advice, but you know, I would feel like I you know, if my content on my channel led to that sort of decision, I would be feel like I did a really bad thing for the world. So stick to the science, stick to the expectations of the improvements that are there. And if you have a medical condition, or you think you do, go through established, you know, double-blind, placebo-controlled, you know, FDA approval, right? Like there's no shame in taking a pill, especially if it works, and there's also no shame in seeking. There's no benefit. Like if just because you cure a panic attack through meditation, you know, that doesn't mean that you know, like anyway. Well, this, you know, this is part of it though, right? It's like, you know, a panic attack, right? Like stress, you know, this is what meditation can do. So I just wanted to put that out there as a disclaimer, because that's something that really concerns me. With this stuff, is sometimes I feel like it can kind of go too far, and it can stray from what the research and the evidence shows. I just want to kind of interject there before we continue on. But with that being said, let's close this out.
Well, what is mindfulness meditation and how can it help people?
Mindfulness meditation is a way of coming into the present moment. So it's to make sure that instead of worrying about what's going to happen, like the future exam or the future job interview, that you actually are right here, right now, in the present moment, non-judgmentally, just being aware of all your senses and concentrating on what you're actually doing 100% fully. So for exams, it's so important because instead of worrying about the next question, you focus on that question. The night before, instead of worrying about the consequences of failing the exam, you're focusing on the study that you're doing. You're focusing on going to sleep. So you're actually right here, right now.
So important. I can remember countless exams, and I'm sure that many students can relate to this, where they get to their exam table, they have a wonky desk, there's someone with a snotty nose within 360 degrees of them, they've got an adjudicator that's prancing around and looking at them, and there's so many different things that can take them away from what they need to be focusing on.
Yeah, they get distracted. Yeah, and then the biggest thing with anxiety though is what if this happens, what if that happens, or regrets about the past. Oh, I wish I'd read that article, I wish I'd studied that, oh, I wish I'd asked the teacher this. So being in the present moment means that you let go of the anxieties and what ifs of the future, and you let go of the regrets of the past, so that you just focus and are fully present. One of the big mindfulness meditation gurus is called John Kabat-Zinn, and he talks about be 100% fully present with 100% of your marbles. Don't just go into an exam or into a meeting or into an interaction or talking to someone with only 20% of your marbles or 40% of your marbles or 60%. Go with 100%. Think how much better you'll do in an exam if everything else is clear and you're just focused right here, right now.
Gosh, I can imagine that sometimes this is easier said than done, which is why you need a lot of practice in this. Where's a place that people can maybe start if they want to be more mindful?
Eating, because lots of us love to eat. You'd like that, Jason? So eating meditation, you just take a piece of food and very slowly eat it, so that you actually fully taste it. So you start to notice the food's in your mouth and you start to chew very slowly, so that what happens is you start to actually taste your food, and then you start to notice what is the tongue doing, what saliva is there in the mouth, what are your cheeks doing, what is your mind doing, what are you paying attention to. So you eat and be fully present with the eating. And I had a man the other day, I did this with a large group, and he put his hand up at the end and said, I realised that after 45 years I've never fully tasted my food. I gave them all a sultana to have a meditation on. We took 15 minutes to eat the sultana. So we got people to smell it, we got people to look at it, we got people to feel it, we got people to hear it, it crinkles, the sultana crinkles, and then we got people to taste it. So that they put all their senses just into this one sultana. And at the end, I did it with a group of 40 last week, they were so calm. They were so stressed when they came in, and they were so calm at the end. So food's really easy to practice because you always have to eat.
And there's several points along the student pathway that may derail them from mindfulness, whether it's when they arrive in an exam room and all their friends are comparing how stressed they are and there's got that frantic person flipping their notes, or if they get a question that suddenly they haven't studied for and they're really worried about that. What's a way that they could perhaps navigate through those?
And I think you practice mindfulness well before exam time. So you don't just go into an exam and go, now I'm going to be mindful. You go, now I'm going to practice. So practice every day just for a little bit. Even if it's just, you're just having a meal, and just practice mindfulness once a day for 10 minutes. Then when the exams come, it's already a habit. If it's already a habit, then it's much easier to do. And then you are less likely to panic or get anxious when you see a question you don't know. Your thinking is more likely to be clear, so that the answers will arrive in the moment, rather than you going into that terrible anxious struggling. So it's about practicing. I'd always do it the night before, so that you need to get a good night's sleep. Stop the cramming, go and meditate, ease off, let the mind calm down, have a good night's sleep, and then when you get there, you won't be so disturbed by those students who aren't mindful. And if you've got between exams, practice meditation as well. And then after an exam, practice it, because that's also a time people freak out. They start to hear what everybody else has said, and then they go, I didn't say that. But if you start to freak out, then it affects the next exam. So I'd be practicing mindfulness meditation before an exam, in between an exam, and after an exam.
Yeah, and then just throw out, I guess, because I can see this helping in so many areas. I think back to the number of times I've had a phone call where I haven't actually been present in the phone call, and then afterwards I have this regret that I didn't listen as much as I could to them.
You don't know what they said.
And I'm just thinking, anxiety's come up a few times, and if students don't immediately, or have exams coming up in the near future, they may be feeling fairly anxious about their study workload. They may think that it's so big, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to start. So they don't start, and then the anxiety grows, and it grows and grows. What would you suggest in this situation?
Start with any step and one step. So anxiety will become overwhelming, but if you think about just focusing and meditating for 10 minutes and then starting, that will probably be easier, because it calms your whole mind. And when people are anxious, their minds get very, very restless, and they have this monkey mind, and then they go over and over and over and over and over and over it. And instead, what you can do when you meditate is just to let all that restlessness go. It's like holding a heavy weight. If you keep a heavy weight held in your hand, hour after hour after hour, it becomes so heavy it becomes impossible to deal with. Meditation is saying, put that heavy weight, which is the exam, down. Just rest it. Even if it's 10 minutes later, you pick it back up. It's nowhere near as heavy as if you'd held it for half an hour or 3 hours. So it gives your whole mind and your whole body a rest, and there's some fabulous research. So there's lots and lots of neuroscientific research being done at the moment on mindfulness meditation. And one of the researchers, Professor Richard Davidson in the US, he's actually taken groups who have practiced mindfulness meditation for only 8 weeks, for only 45 minutes a day, and he has proven that you can get measurable changes of a positive nature in the brain between those who've done the 8 weeks and those who haven't. It's just quite astounding. And they've also shown by injecting people with flu that those who have meditated for that 8-week period have a stronger immune system than those who don't. How good is that for exams?
Gosh, they should be teaching this in school.
Oh, I do think they should be teaching it in school. In fact, one of my friends is a teacher, and she used to teach it in schools to her little children. She used to call it quiet time, so that they'd all learn just to quieten down and calm down. And if you calm for an exam, you're going to do so much better.
I just imagine the power of a whole classroom or a whole year level of students that have an awareness of the power of this, entering an exam in completely calm, collected state would be.
Because everybody feeds off each other. So if everybody else is in a panic, it's so much easier to get in a panic. If you're all quite calm and you could walk into an exam mindfully. You could just go, I notice my foot on the floor, I notice this foot on the floor, I notice this foot on the floor, and this foot on the floor. Just go into your senses and let the past go and the future go, and just notice. And then sit on your chair mindfully. Notice how you're sitting, where your back is, where your hands are. So you just bring yourself into your senses in the present moment, and then the exam will be easier.
Wow, gosh.
And that's how I cured myself of panic attacks.
Yeah.
I used to sit there and I used to actually notice my breath. I'd have panic attacks, particularly at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'd get up and I'd sit and I'd just notice the anxiety. I actually just noticed it, became mindful of the anxiety. And I noticed it got worse and then it got better. So it arises and then it fades away. And you can use the breath to do the same thing. You can just sit there and go, well, I just noticed that I'm breathing in, and you don't have to take a huge breath. Your breath.
Yeah, and this was mentioned in the materials too. It's like when you do this, it's not about feeling good, right? It's just about being present with those sensations. So it's like you're not necessarily always going to take some time for mindfulness and meditation and be like, oh, I feel so much better now. Like, and you saw it with me, right? With my practice log. Let's take a look at that quick. So for my formal practices, which were 6 instances of a 35-minute, so I felt absolutely horrible, right? And my informal wasn't much better either. Like, you know, I had extreme nausea. I couldn't even talk because I was worried I would throw up. And then I went out and, you know, if I just continued to stay at my computer all day and never went out and swimming, I might have still been feeling pretty bad, right?
Breath is already moving your body without you doing anything. So don't change your breathing. Just simply be with it. Just notice it going in and notice it going out.
That's really
Mindfully breathing in and mindfully breathing out. Breath in and breath out. That's all you have to do. You don't have to change the breath.
It's funny because I always have this impression that you have to, you know, do this
so
deep breath.
tense.
Yeah.
No, the breath is moving your body every day, every minute. Otherwise, you're not listening to this video.
Yeah.
So if you're breathing, your breath does it automatically. Just be with the breath. Notice the breath. Don't see you've done a deep breath again.
Just try not to breathe.
No, you're breathing already.
I know.
You don't have to make it harder.
Yeah.
No, you can concentrate. Okay, so just go back to just allowing the breath to come in, and then allowing the breth to go out.
so you can
do it better than Jason,
imagine
let me
when
tell
you're in an
you.
exam. It's brilliant. So you don't have to go, because I've done yoga before and they're very disciplined on the breath, and you know sometimes it's breathe in through one nostril, breathe out through the other, and there's all these.
Well, you can do that if you want to, but you don't have to,
Okay.
because every time you go, you're tensing. Can you not see that in your body? That's actually tense. You don't want to be more tense. So this is about not doing anything. It's about just being with whatever is there, just staying with it, allowing it, being there, non-judgmentally, in the present moment, as it is right now.
Instead of attempting to resist it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and alter it and do something and complain about it and not like it and think your breath should be slower or faster or
not doing it right.
higher or no, just allow yourself.
Yeah, it's about having control over that response, right? Have it being in the driver's seat. Like maybe you do want to be like, oh, I hate this and complain about it. Maybe that is the right response. But if that's the only response you're capable of doing, you can see how that's a problem, right? Maybe there's a better response. And if there is, you'd probably rather do that.
Yourself to be here right now with whatever is happening.
Great. And And so this helps you to cure yourself of panic attacks. And you've got
Totally.
4 degrees as well, so you've been able to use this to...
I've worked out exams. Yeah. So I would often, before any difficult situation, whether it's an exam, whether it's public speaking, whether it's going to a difficult meeting, whether it's talking to somebody who I find a little hard, I'll often meditate first. And then I calm down, my mind is clear, and then I can do whatever I need to do without taking anxiety into it. So anxiety's made a huge difference to my life, but mindfulness meditation is the thing that's calmed me. I haven't had a panic attack for years. And exams, you can walk into an exam, I won't cram the night before.
There we go.
And I know that I just need to be fully present in the exam.
So there we go. That's what this channel's all about, right? I've taken exams on this channel, and guess what? Yeah, when I've taken the exams, I feel like I could have handled the stress and anxiety of them a lot better. So I just came to the conclusion that I need to do this first before I take any more exams.
And give it my best shot, which means I need to be calm and mindful, and then be fully present with what I think the exam question's asking. Because if you've got anxiety, you might actually miss what the question's about. So yeah, it really does.
Misread the questions. Yeah.
Sitting there and writing things and preparing and reading, be fully present. You'll absorb more.
I love it. Okay, if the people watching this would like to find out more about you, where should they go to?
Please go to my website, rachelgreen.com. I have a second website, confidentwoman.com.au, that you can also visit. Both sites have information on mindfulness meditation, and I also have a CD set called Happy Not Hassled, a 2 CD set which has mindfulness meditations on it, and I also talk on there about how to manage your own anxiety and anger. Yeah,
Fantastic.
because some people get angry around
Yeah,
exams,
the
So
exams, okay.
stress, tension. So I talk about how to use mindfulness meditation in those situations to manage your emotions. So Happy Not Hassled, it's called, and it's on both confidentwoman.com.au and rachelgreen.com.
Fantastic. I'll have websites appearing at the bottom of the
Beautiful.
screen.
Thank you,
This
Jason.
is wonderful. Rachel's helped me in my public speaking skills and being more mindful in that sense, and she's just absolutely wonderful. I really encourage you to get onto our websites and find out more. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you,
your expertise
Jason.
today.
Keep calm.
Yeah, so there we go. That's all of week 1. Once you've done at least 6 days of practice, I feel you've gotten the essence of the week through the videos and reading, which I definitely have. It's time for week 2. It's not necessary to read/review any of the supplemental materials. They are totally optional. But with that, I have finished absolutely everything on this page. If you're compiling a manual, which I am not doing, so... All right. So the next we're going to get into is week 2. I'll completely save this until tomorrow. But I will say it might be hard for me to get through this. I have tried to do this on my own, not as part of the YouTube channel, and I got frustrated and gave up when I kind of skimmed it over and looked at this, because I have experience as a classical musician, and this experiment with Joshua Bell kind of, in my mind, is everything that's wrong with classical music. It's like the idea that he should be worshipped and praised, and that the audience needs to bow down before him and praise him is like, I feel like, the people are happy to watch, like a Michael Jackson impersonator, right? That's because, it's just the yeah. So I'm gonna try to get through this, but I might go on tangents. So I'll be mindful of that, and I'll try to just get through. I will inject a few of my thoughts here and there, but I'll try to stick to the subject, even though it's going to be quite hard for me during this week too. But yeah, with that, that's completely it for week 1. So stay tuned for the start of week 2.